While Penn State men's lacrosse returns this upcoming weekend as they travel to Rutgers to face off in the Friendship Cup, the women's team rides on the heels of last weekend's victory into their matchup against Maryland this Sunday. Hello everyone and welcome back to another edition of Penn State Sports Night. I'm Kummer alongside Tim Rogers and Lexy Leidlein. Tonight we will be discussing what this season holds for both the PSU men and women's lacrosse teams. So Tim, how does the men's roster look this year?
Thank you, Casey. This Penn State roster is top-notch. There's no doubt about it. They are ranked 7th right now, which I personally think is a little low after winning the Big Ten last year. Only playing 7 games, though, going 5-2. But the year before, they were known as one of the best teams in there. They got lost to Yale, which was a tough one, obviously. But this team should be competing at least in the Final Four. I mean, they should obviously win the Big Ten championship. But if they're not in that top 4 conversation, that's a disappointing season for them.
Yeah, I agree. That Yale 2-goal loss last year was really tough. And with Yale not playing this year, Penn State really has a chance to, I think, win the whole championship. They don't have really much competition in the Big Ten. Rutgers really isn't that big of a competition. I'm not sure why Maryland is ranked number 2, but yeah, they won the Big Ten regular season last year with only 7 games. They have 4 preseason All-Americans in Nick Cardiel, Mac O'Keefe, Gerard Arseri, and Jack Kelly. So I think this team is unstoppable.
Even though the Friendship Cup was built off the bond of 4 friends learning what it took to play Division I lacrosse, this rivalry game is certain to be a fierce fight. With Penn State winning 13 of them since 1998 and Rutgers only 6, the men's team seems to be in a good spot to start the season out with a win. Tim, who are the players to look for out this season?
Look, I know I say this all the time, oh, he's my boy, but this guy right here, Jack Kelly, is genuinely my boy. Again, we haven't met yet, but if he met me, top notch. This guy, a senior midfielder from Canada, 42 goals in 2019. I mean, obviously last year only 12 goals, but 7 games. O'Keefe, everybody knows about it. Jack Kelly, he's going to have to step up, and he's going to be able to score those big-time goals. He has done it before, by the way. It's not like this is new to him. He's a senior, he knows the system well, and he could definitely bag some in.
This man right here, Gerard Arseri, he's a face-off fiend. He is ranked 10th in NCAA history with 779 face-off wins, ranked 6th in NCAA history with 509 ground balls. And I think somebody else who we're forgetting, who's not going to be shown, is Dylan Fultz. He's a graduate student. Him and Grant Ament were really close, and I think he can fill that role of feeding the cutters and taking the ball to the net like Jack Kelly. I think he's kind of, hidden in the shadow under Mac O'Keefe, but I think he'll really take control of this offense, and the attack will be unstoppable.
Gerard Arseri will definitely be one to watch this season and will even get the chance to up his current PSU record of face-off wins and ground balls. With Penn State's leader in points, Grant Ament, being drafted as the #1 pick in the 2020 PLL draft, there is room for some new guys to really rise to the top this year. Switching over to the women's team, we saw a strong start with a 20-11 win over Rutgers last weekend. Tim, with this exciting start, where will the women's team finish?
I got to be honest, I was very impressed with the win over the weekend. I could see them genuinely fighting for the Big Ten. I know there's a lot of great teams out there. Maryland is one, Ohio State's another one. They're known to be women's lacrosse schools as well as men's lacrosse. But I really like this team and how they play. We're ranked 22 right now, which I also think is a little low. But I mean, the potential from this team, especially from that young recruiting freshman class, this Penn State roster is top-notch. And if they are able to compete for that Big Ten championship, I don't see why they can't.
Tim, I don't know if you knew this, but this recruiting class, this freshman recruiting class, is the top recruiting class of 2020. I don't know if you know that, but just putting that out there. I think we have some really good recruits in especially Kristin O'neill, and I think our team is going to be really good this year. But, like you said, there's Maryland, there's definitely North Carolina, there's all those Southern teams. But I think Penn State will give those teams a run for their money. They're going to be strong. They're going to be really young this year. But I'm excited to see what they do.
Though it may be tough with previous powerhouses like Ohio State and University of Michigan, the Buckeyes did lose their opener against Northwestern last weekend. And with a strong 2020 recruiting class for Penn State, there is potential for the team to really break through this year with their solid freshman class. Lexy, with the 3 Nittany Lions named to the Big Ten players to watch list last week, who are you looking at as the breakout player this year?
Well, one of those Big Ten players to watch happens to be goalie sophomore Taylor Soupley. She had 12 saves in the game against Rutgers this past week. She also, last season, had a record-setting 20 saves against Cornell. That's the most since 2007 against North Carolina. I think she's really going to take command of this defense. She's a young goalie, but I think she's really going to make a name for herself in the Big Ten. How about you, Tim?
For me, it's actually somebody you mentioned earlier, the young freshman, Kristin O'neill. Wow, what a first game. I mean, 4 goals, 2 assists against Rutgers. And again, Rutgers, although they're not like the biggest Big Ten school, they're a quality lacrosse school. So for this Penn State team to go out, again, very young team, and for Kristin O'neill to perform like that, if she could keep that pace up, I don't know how she's not in the conversation for one of the best of the year.
With a solid start to the season under their belt, the Penn State women's lacrosse team will have great potential to emerge as a top Big Ten contender this year, especially with their stacked freshman class. That's all we have time for here today on the Penn State Sports Night. For Tim Rogers and Lexy Leidlein, I'm Casey Kummer. Thanks for watching and have a great night.
Thank you for watching this edition of Penn State Sports Night. If you're a fan of our content, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more clips. Also, follow us on Twitter at PSSN TV and on Instagram at PSU Sports Night to keep up with all the action. For all my colleagues, we are Penn State Sports Night.